day I chose not to let anything win but my drive to get me to the top.
Frank Lee made the beat.
What it do, KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of the Daily K Podcast. And on today's episode, we have lifestyle and business blogger and founder of the LM Experience, Miss Lakisha Mosley. How you doing today, Miss Lakisha?
I am good, my friend. I am good. I am honored to be here. How are you?
I'm okay. I am honored to have you. You know, we connected on the Zoom maybe a few months back where we had a awesome time. And so it's only right that we kind of pull this back in and you come and give us some of your knowledge. So thank you for that today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Man, it's just amazing how we get a chance to work together. I just had, I'll be putting out Tiara's video tomorrow, for
Oh,
Wellness Wednesday, and so, man, she dropped some knowledge on us. So, just thank you for that introduction. And let's keep
yeah.
doing this.
Exactly. We will.
Yeah. So, before we get into things, I just like to do a little check in to see how people doing during this craziness of a pandemic. So, how have you been doing, and how have you been staying safe?
I stay at my house. I talk to people virtually. I rarely, if ever, go outside. I think I went out for my birthday, and I go out if it's like an intimate event, like to show my face, 10 or less people. But honestly, I have been well. I make sure I check in with my therapist because that's what I pay her for. But yeah, I make sure I keep the mind right. I make sure I am staying grounded in the word. You know, I'm a PK, so I always default to that. But honestly, I have been doing great.
That's cool. That's cool. And that's good to hear because, I think it is a fight, to just making sure that you're staying safe, but being intentional because it's so easy to fall back into
Yes.
that old routine. And then as soon as you start slipping, that's when it gets you. So thank you for staying diligent.
Yes.
So
Yes, definitely.
one thing that excites me about today is not only are you a Louisiana girl, but you are from A Town.
Yes.
And so
Born to
as a person who went to Northwestern and I met so many people in LA, you think about that Peabody, that Tioga, you know, all that. So I just want to say thank you, but give us a little bit of background on that A Town and you, and then how did you end up in Houston?
Oh my gosh. Born and raised, Sonia Quarterbred. Uh, I actually went to Bolton High School, but I had tons of friends, that were at Peabody and Tioga, and even Pineville. I had friend Ash, all of them. So born and raised there. I started at Southern University, but then I got pregnant. My mom was like, "You coming home? You coming back home to the A?" So I came back, and then I finished at LSUA, and then got my bachelor's at Northwestern State as well. So I don't know. I guess I was just tired of being there. I had been there my whole life. Um, I felt like the government job thing wasn't for me. Working at Coca Cola wasn't for me. Working at Walmart wasn't for me. So I was like, no, I think I want to go. I've always loved Houston. One of my cousins live here, and she's lived here like a long, long time. So I would always come and visit. And I was like, well, I think I'm gonna just move to Houston, and that's what I did. By that time, I had two kids, so me and the kids, we decided we were gonna move here, and I've been here ever since. It's like I think you're 18 now.
Come on now, welcome. I know I
Yeah.
moved in 2003, and it was my friend said come down Thursday. I said I'm down. He picked me up Tuesday, and I haven't been back home since.
Right.
So I understand what you mean when you say you got to, get out and get that different view to just change things. That's cool.
Yes.
So on our last podcast that we worked together, it was the live. it was all about business, black business, because we had a lot of black entrepreneurs on there. So, what
Right.
brought about a panel like that? What happened that made you say, "Let me get this together"?
It was really the social injustice that was going on in America. I mean, we had COVID, and then we had George Floyd's situation, and it was just too much, I think. It was just way too much. And so I would speak out and I would get people in my inbox like, oh my gosh, like you should talk about this. Okay, first of all, I don't even like to be in front of the camera. I don't like to do all of that. But I felt like it was a duty, like I had a responsibility as someone who people would, I guess, listen to. Let's start talking about these things that plague Black people. And so I came up with the racial disruptors. And so for me, it was about disrupting the norm. So we started talking about racism with moms and dads. And I wanted to bring you all on as entrepreneurs because I think people think because you're an entrepreneur that you don't face racism for some reason or whatever. And I'm like, no, I want y'all to know it's real out here in these streets. Like entrepreneurs get it just like anybody else. And y'all brought it. Like everybody on there was fire. Like it was fire. So yes, I just felt like it was my responsibility.
I know that you have your degree in human resources. So you think about the human resources. We talking about businesses and the blogs that you have to
Yeah.
focus on the business. So how much does the HR play into the way that you see businesses, and how does that transfer over into the way that you write about those businesses?
Oh my gosh, it weighs a lot in it. Although I'm technically not working in that field anymore, but it weighs heavily because when you think about business, you think about how you move about with people. You look for those signs that they teach us in HR. You strategize on how you're going to move about with folks. So if we're going to do a project together, there's a little bit of human resource that goes into that. Oh, okay, KT, we need to bring this person to the table because this person got that expertise. You just kind of take those skills and you use them to help your projects grow and be as successful as possible. And then for me, I felt like again, it's my duty. No offense to the brothers, but my blog is geared toward mostly women in business. And I think we sometimes have an unfair advantage when it comes to that. But I want us to be strategic in it, and I want us to be able to use these things. We work at these big companies, we go to these expensive trainings. Why are we not using that knowledge in our own businesses? Why aren't we using those things? And so it helps me write, posts that help women really use the skills they have. Like you don't necessarily have to go out and get another degree to be successful in your business. Use what they taught you at this job and get what you need from it and you put it into place where you are. And so it just helps people see like I don't need to do too much extra. Like I already have what I need to make it a success.
Yes, yes, and these days it's also so much content. Anywhere. I'll tell you, a lot of the times when I think about optimizing or just doing different things, new edits
Right.
or new stuff, I Google YouTube, and so
Yeah.
I teach myself. I've filled up a notebook of just social media marketing, and 5 minutes I try to learn something every day. Um,
Right.
so they are there. So I agree with that tidbit. I know that you have the Mind Your Business event coming up very soon.
Yes.
So, what brought on this event, and basically, what do you want to have accomplished by the end?
Well, I think, KT, there's a stigma in the Black community about mental health. I know for me, as being a PK, they would just tell me, go pray about it. My daddy would, what would your daddy say? And I think it's just the whole stigma around mental health. We don't want to go get help. We're afraid to go get help. And it's so many factors that play into mental health. And so I did a mental health and racism panel. After the panel, all of the therapists and social workers were like, oh my gosh, the response was amazing. Maybe we should collab and do a project or something. I was like, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. But then I kind of brushed it off. Well, the next day I was inundated with inboxes on, oh my gosh, your panel just really, helped me. I'm gonna go see a therapist, today. I'm gonna go find one. What Dr. Tyra talked about with anger. That was how I felt. I think I need to go get help. And so I was like, I went back to the ladies. I was like, ladies, we on something. I think we really need to do this. And so we decided to do My Mind is My Business, because we want people to know that your mental health is your business. You cannot be successful, you cannot function, you cannot do anything unless your mind is right. And so my biggest takeaway is that people will know they need help. I get help. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I have to go and talk to somebody about that. I've lost both of my parents. I lost them 10 months apart. I gotta go talk to somebody about that, because it's some days that it's just too much for me to handle. And I want people to know they're not alone. Like, we've had COVID, we've had social injustice, and whether you have been affected or not, like personally by these two pandemics, because they both pandemics to me, it wreaks havoc on your mental. You may not know what to do. So I want people to realize them want any help. But secondly, that they're not alone, that there are other people, including myself, that is in the same boat of they say 1 out of 5 Americans suffer from a mental illness. I'm one of those people.
Yes, yes, and that is like I say, you're right about that stigma, and a lot of people try to sweep it under the rug, and so I'll tell people anytime, look, what you gonna do? You're going to therapy. We got the EAP in my district,
Mhm.
and first 6 sessions are free. So
Yeah.
there is no excuse.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And so now we're thinking about the event, and you being an event planner. Life changed drastically. We can't
Yeah.
meet up. So, like, this event is virtual. So, how have
Yeah.
you had to adjust? And how are you keeping the business afloat and seeing success with virtual events now that you have to do it?
When COVID first came about, I panicked. Like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I got 8 events planned this year. I'm talking major cities. We talking Miami, Atlanta, DC, New York, Washington. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Not only that, it's money on the table, because I have clients who have already, like, say, paid retainers, who've already paid hotel fees, deposits, things like that. What are we gonna do? Okay, well, we can't gather, so what can we do? So for me, it was having to pivot to virtual. And so, no, it wasn't ideal at first, because there's a lot of moving parts to it. I think more moving parts virtual than in person. But I had to do it. It was how I was going to stay active and visible in business. And it helped the clients as well, because now you can reach more people. Now nobody has to pack a bag and pay for an expensive flight and an expensive hotel. Now you don't have to pay huge food and beverage minimums to a hotel. You don't have to hustle as hard to get as many seats filled to help pay for the space. Now everybody in the front row, everybody check in at the same time. And you can bring some of those same in-person aspects to virtual. So you can have a virtual photo booth. You can opt to have Grubhub or Uber Eats deliver food to your guest if that's what you want to do. You can decorate your area for your virtual event. It's so many different aspects that you can do. Networking. Some software, some platforms have a networking function where you click a button, and bam, you in a room just like how you and I are right now. We can network and talk about those things. And so for me, it was like, I have to find what's going to work. I had to adapt my business to it. And I'm grateful that I did, because I don't think virtual's going away. And I think even once COVID go away, people still going to be a little leery about gathering, in groups.
Yeah, and when you think about that, as I look at the stock market, one thing that took off that I slept on was Zoom. You know, I mean, like a few hundred times what they
Yeah.
were before they started in the pandemic, and so it's like but that just goes to show you that it's steady rising, which means people believe that this is going to be here for a while. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so it's some good parts, but it's also some rough parts. We were already getting detached from cell phones, things like that. So now
Right.
we don't even have to meet. We could just be on here. So the gift and the
Right.
curse. Yes, gift and
Yes.
the curse.
Yes. It's so, I mean, it's so funny because people like, I already was like, I don't want to be around folks anyway, like to some degree. But now it's so much isolation, like you said. Like now show enough don't have no choice but to not go around people because it's just not really safe to
Yes,
do so.
I'm telling you, it's scary. So now
Yeah.
I know you gave some tips about platforms, but if you can just go back and think about one or two tips, if we have someone who's struggling and they're working on events, then how can that person be able to get more people to their online event?
They have to market like crazy. I want people to understand as well. You can't just have an event and expect people to come because it's virtually. You have to market and you have to figure out people's pain points. For me, what is a person's pain point? They want to have an event and they can't have it in person. So I help them navigate that, overstep hurdles of distance to be able to put their products and services before people. So I tell people, think about somebody's pain point. Like, how can you help them in this space? You know, when our living rooms turned into classrooms, you know, people panicked. Like, they had no clue. I can only imagine the phone calls and emails you got as an administrator of what do I do. People realize just like how much they were not paying attention to their kids. So if you're somebody who has something, a time tracker, a planner, even like things that help you organize their work, you were making money or you still making money because you're helping people organize their life around being teachers. You know, like I feel bad for some of these kids because I'm like, Lord, it's a difference. You know, we're not equipped to do that. I'm glad mine grown and out of school. But if you found a way to engage parents and children, you were making money because you tapped into their pain point. And if you were marketing it correct, I'm talking about on everywhere, Etsy, eBay, Instagram, Facebook. If you were marketing, people saw your stuff and you were making money.
And they will come.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, one of your blogs, as I read up on things, talk about having a gratitude journal.
Yes.
And so, in a world where we have so many things to be afraid of, so many things to be weary of, sometimes taking the stop to think about the things that you're thankful for gets lost in the shuffle. So,
Yes.
talk about your purpose of why you wrote that blog, and why we should always keep one of these handy.
Oh, it's so important. So, KT, it really was a check to myself because I was feeling down, feeling sorry for myself. Like, oh my gosh, I really can't believe all this stuff going on. Like, you can't do anything. Like, I really don't want to do something, but if I wanted to, I could. Now I really can't. But it was a way for me, like, I really had to check myself in my devotional time that morning. You know, God was like, you asked me or you kept telling me you hate this job. Now I'm going to retire you from this job and you complaining. You know, you're not grateful for these opportunities that I put before you. And so I felt really, really convicted. And so I was like, okay, I got to write about this. And that's some of my blogs, especially when they're based on family and faith. They are things that I'm really writing from my heart. But I think having a gratitude journal helps you really see the small things. Like we sweating the small stuff. Like, yeah, I was tired of that job. He retired me from that job. I'm grateful that he retired me from that job. So now I can really be home and be safe and not really be concerned about who's coming into the grocery store, who has COVID, and who can infect me and my entire staff. You know, I'm able to be home with my children who are grown, and they're on their own. But if we wanted to have a family night, I'm able to do that now. I'm grateful that God has really brought people like you and Tiara and other folks in my life. I don't think if this pandemic had happened, that I would have the connections or my business would be where it is. So he really kind of convicted me about complaining so much. And then I just started to Google, like you say, I Googled and I was like, let me find a gratitude journal. And then I saw, well, I could just make one myself. We're so technology driven. I just put one on in notes. And so every day I list 5 things that I'm grateful for in the morning and at night. And when I begin to get that spirit of complaining, I go and open that journal and I see all of the things that I need to be grateful for, to be able to move about in my house. The fact that, thank God I haven't contracted COVID, that I have friends, that I'm able to go and vote. I went out and voted early last week, and it was such a sense of pride. Like, my grandparents didn't have that privilege. My mom and dad don't have this privilege. And so that day I wrote, being able to go vote, to be able to pick who I wanted to pick, for this ballot. So I think those things are so important, especially now when all we looking at is, oh, it's a deadly disease outside. Oh, I can't go hang out with my friends. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. But you have life. You have people that care about you. So it's super important to have one of those journals. Super important.
So now, as we get ready to land this plane, um, I think about the people who are coming out of the pandemic. Well, yeah, in the pandemic right now, but want to come out with the
Right.
promotion business, with the marketing and event planning and business, but they are afraid to take that leap. What do you say to those people to get them off their couch and in the game?
I say jump. What are you waiting on? Because somebody wants what you have. And you not only block your blessings, but you block somebody else from being blessed by your gift. I want us to get out of imposter syndrome. And I just talked to a girl about that just now. Those moments will come as God begins to elevate us. We will ask ourselves, like, who am I? Who can listen to me? Lakisha, I'm from Alexandria. You never heard of me. I'm little brown girl from the Sonya Quarters. Who knows me? But somebody knows me and wants what I have. You are sitting on a gift. You are sitting on something that could not so much make you millions, but you could change somebody's life with it. I don't care. 15 million people doing event planning businesses. I am one of a kind. It is something about me that it will make people want my business. So I say jump, get up, find you a business consultant, start brain dumping all these ideas that you have. Get with someone who can help you, a business coach, even a life coach, to get past those insecurities that kind of keep you blocked. But I say go for it, especially now. Now is the time.
Mm. All right. So now, end of the year coming. I want to get ready for my events for next year, and I want to be a part of the LM experience. How do I contact you to render your services, Miss Mosley?
Oh, I am on everything. Lord have mercy. Everything. Okay. So Facebook my jam. I'm on IG a little bit, but Facebook is my jam. So Facebook and IG, it's the LM Experience. On Twitter, it's just LM Experience. DM me, send me a message. You can email me at hi@thelmexperience.com. You can go to my website, thelmexperience.com. I have like lots of freebies there, checklist where if you want to go live or do a virtual event, you don't know what to talk about. There are topics you can talk about. So yes, you can get in touch with me just about anywhere.
I sure appreciate that. I am honored. Like I said, I'm glad to see someone from the crib, and I say that
Yes,
because I was in that A often. So I'm just glad to see somebody, just from my neck of the woods, old school, practice cat, just. So I thank you
yes.
for taking some time out today, Miss Mosley.
Appreciate it. I am honored. Thank you so, so much.
All right, well, I'll be reaching out because I may have some of my sleeve for a little event some soon. So look for me.
You know I got you. Like for real, for real. Like, yes, I got you.
Let it work then. All right. All right. This is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.